Welcome to my 7th video on Appium Testing. I'm going to be, in this video, continuing on the tests that I started in Appium Testing video 6. So on this particular video, I'm going to be breaking the Settings tab test into two tests. I'm going to break it in half because it's called the Test Settings tab, but it actually got to be developing into a bit more than that. So I've got, I think by now, Eclipse running over here. This is XCode. And this is Eclipse. Okay, I'm going to cancel this. It seems to want to install and update every single day. Do you want to cancel? Yes, no, yes. Yes, I want to cancel. Okay. So I'm going to start by creating a separate test. And I'm going to create this test in a separate file. Now I could create the test in the same file, but it's sort of a different test paradigm or suite. This test settings tab was a sort of a functional test that was specific to the settings. I keep calling it a tab, but it's really a table view. And the test of the smoke test is really just a smoke test. So I want to separate my functional tests from my smoke tests. So I'm going to create a new test. So I do that by right-click or control-clicking on the package that I want it to be in. It just makes it easier for me. And I do new class. Class just means Java class. And I'm going to call it test. The test prefix is the same prefix. It's compatible with Gradle, but it's also compatible with Maven. Maven expects a certain naming convention, so I put the word test at the beginning. So test smoke. So this is going to be a smoke test. And I can put comments in there. I like lots of comments. It generates Javadoc, which you'll see the use of that as you progress through the video. Okay, so now we've got a new test called smoke test. Now I'm going to pretty much copy the other test, and then I'm going to delete stuff from both tests. I'll show you what I'm doing. So let's jump over to the tabbing settings tab. I'm going to make a copy of this. So basically, now that verify settings upsell message, that should be in a different package already. So I'm going to move that right now before I start refactoring. So refactor, move, and I'm going to put that in the org.java. Yeah, it can't be moved because it's private. So as you saw me in my last video, I always rename these to public, static. Okay, now it can be moved. Control, click, refactor, move. Browse, type org, choose the org class, click OK. And it goes bye-bye. Okay. Alright, so now I'm going to start moving some stuff around. I'm not taking that last curly brace. I'm just going to get the content of inside the curly brackets. And I'm not going to go all the way up past the class name. I'm going to stop just below the public class. And I'm going to copy this right there. Command copy, Control C, Command C to copy on a Mac. Of course, if you have Windows, it's Control C. They are similar in that regard. I'm going to paste it in here. Okay. Now, I love the formatting features of Eclipse, so I like to do that frequently. Command A to select all, and then source, format. That'll adjust the tabbing. I like tabbing. I like nice, neat Java classes that look well organized with proper indentation to show the flow. Command S is a command that saves. I tend to do that frequently. Again, I'm going to do Command A, select all, Control, click, source, format, and it'll just indent everything nicely. Okay, and then Command S to save. So this is the settings test. So what the setting test was originally supposed to have was pretty much go in here, go to the settings, table view, verify the settings upsell message, share, and then exit. And that's pretty much done. And you can pretty much declare that a success. So all the rest of this, not necessary. So that's a test. I'm going to call that a complete test for today. Okay, so then at tag iOS, that means it gets executed with the iOS suite. Now, on the smoke test, that's going to have, well, it doesn't really need to go do the verify this stuff here and this. It doesn't have to do this stuff because that's covered by the other test. We don't want to ever have there was this article I read on how to speed up automated testing, and one way is, well, do less screenshots, but one of the tips that was in there was don't do something twice. So if you tested the settings tab in one test, don't test it in another test. Don't copy and paste one test to another. There's no reason that you should ever have to update two tests because something changed in the app. Only one test should be doing every piece of the application. Think about that when you're testing. So we had create project, create project, create project. Now, you saw me doing a lot of refactoring in the last video, and one of the advantages of refactoring is we ran into a problem. We inserted enhancements, we inserted uplift, we inserted reskin, and then when we inserted search optimization, it threw up another screen and wouldn't continue. So, of course, I should have known that was going to happen. But because each one of these inserted projects executes the same method, to handle this problem, all I have to do is go into the domain-specific language and handle the condition in one place. And it'll fix it for all 12 projects. That's the first concept. Break things down, functionally decompose your tests, build a domain-specific language, and build out tasks that do certain things, make commands for them, and reuse those commands over and over. And then, when the app changes and you have to update your test, you only have to update it in one place. So, that being said, you click on the Add button, and the behavior was different. So, what it did was it came up with a different page saying, got to upgrade. So, we need to detect that page right here after we click the Add button. So, the way we're going to do that is, now I did this before, verify upsell message, find, assert equals. Okay, that was one thing. And then there was, maybe I did never do this before. Wait a minute, wait. Yep, no I did, right here. Okay, so, right here. So I'm going to control, refactor, extract method. I'm going to break this out and I'm going to make a separate function for this functionality. I'll call that using. Okay. Now I'm going to refactor this code here into a separate method. Then I'm going to reuse it. So I'm going to call it exists. Control, refactor, come on. I'm sorry. Computer's a little slow. Control, refactor, extract method. I'm going to call this one exists. Private, static, boolean, exists. I don't want it to be private. I want it to be public. Here we go. You can change it right there. Public, static, boolean, exists. Now it's getting closer to what I really want. Okay. So now I've created an exists menu, exists thing. I'm going to add I'm going to change this up a little bit. I'm going to extract that. I'm going to put in this element. And then I'm going to put this down here and get the web element. This element equals. Then I'm going to reuse that. Ampersand this element dot. And I think there's an exists methods on this. Exist is enabled, is displayed. Yes, we got to have a displayed method. I guess the fact that it's not null just means it exists. So, fair enough. Actually, this gets a lot like find. So, I believe I created a find before. So we can refactor that and reuse it. Don't see it. Oh, it's app.find. So actually this is app.find using. Try to reuse. Always keep an inventory in your mind and of all the methods you built, and try to reuse them as much as possible. Now exists is in the wrong place because that's pretty reusable. So I'm going to move it. Let's move it over to app. Refactor, move, and we'll move that over to apps, or app.
It's 9 o'clock.
I'm trying to put app with all the things that'll be reusable that you can use in your mobile development, and then only put the things that are domain specific for progress report in this file, which is org. That's my goal. I'd like to build out a reusable library as well as a domain-specific library. That way on my next mobile project I could just reuse app and accelerate my development. So, let's get back to the task at hand, which I was just there. Okay, so here we're going to do create new project, and right here we're going to do if app exists, and we're going to check for continue. And in here, I can click on things. I could click on purchase and purchase the app, and then cancel, and then the behavior should drop me back to the main page. So I'm going to do that. Just because purchase functionality is rather important. You know, if people are not able to purchase your app or do your in-app purchases, that's a problem. So you should test those as much as possible. So I'm going to test them as much as possible. So that being said, I'm not going to continue. What I'm going to do is click on a purchase. So let's do that. So for that, we're going to go to Appium Desktop and click on this. Tap. Let's see if that works. Okay. I should have handled that. I should have handled that. It's called OK. Should have handled that. Okay. Let's refresh. Page is already gone anyway. Okay. So now we click on the plus, which is the add button. Sometimes tapping works, sometimes we got to just go to the navigation bar, find the add, and tap on it. Now this is a screen we're testing. We can do a few things here. We can buy a new app. We can buy a new app, 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 or we can continue. So you got lots of options. So let's test the first one here. And that has Add Mob Test Smart Banner. Okay. This one has search, unlimited projects, share all projects, backup all projects, no advertising. Okay. Well, I'm going to go through those and test them all. So what do we got? Put them right in my code. So grab that accessibility ID, jump to Eclipse, and in here, we'll click on Share, Search. We can click on Unlimited Projects. Of course, we can't click on them all at once. So we could do, if it's Monday, click on, search. If it's Tuesday, click on Unlimited Projects. If it's Wednesday, click on Search All. I've done that kind of thing before. That way, you just, if your tests run every day, you eventually test the app. Every day it's a little different. Mix it up a little. And then we've got continue, which also should be tested. Okay. So I'm just going to implement one of these right now. And I'll figure out some random way to do all of them. Gotta type quite a few letters and click before it gets disambiguated with the other options. Okay, so that's going to click on search. So let's do that and see what happens. Oops, tap. That's going to go into the in-app purchase functionality, and it pops up with this menu. Doesn't pop up on here though, which probably means that it's a separate app. I don't know how. It's not popping up. I want to get a accessibility identifier. Well, if there was one, it would be called cancel. So let's just touch that. I'll just code it that way. See if it works. And then if it doesn't pop up with that message, it'll just enter the new project. So let's see if this cancel thing works. So what we do is minimize this window, or just bring it down to size. Then we got to bring up our terminal. And we'll do a Gradle clean test. When I checked this project into Get Repository, for some reason it moved it over from Documents Workspace to /get. I've never had that happen before, and I probably chose an incorrect option, but that's where my project is right now, so I'm just glad I still have it. And every time I check it in every night after these videos, it's put out on the shared GitHub, and you can go down to the comments below and grab the URL, go out there and get a copy of the source code. So you don't have to really retype all this if you don't want. I mean, if you like to type, you know, have at it. So I am going to, well, this is going to run, but it seems to get hung up when the app's running. So let's just quit this. And you can see it's reusing the Appium, not Appium Desktop, but the Appium that's running. It just goes out and finds the one that was started by Appium Desktop. Okay, so we'll quit it. Okay, now it reinstalled it. Let's move this over so we can see it. So it's going to start entering projects. Okay, it gets to this tab. Click on the share. Okay, click on this. This is going to click on share again. Oh, okay, so it's running the first test. Sorry. Actually, it may not even run the second test, because I didn't add the tag iOS. I think we're done. Okay, let's go back to Eclipse and see. Yep, build successful. We ran one test. We had two tests to run, we only ran one. That's because in Smoke here, I didn't add the tag at the top. So you have to tag your tests in order for them to run. And this is part of JUnit 5. It's the JUnit 5 Jupyter console runner that's running these. And it disambiguates or controls it based on these tags. And those are filtered in the Gradle file. So I'm going to add another tag. You can put as many as you want. I'm going to put one here called smoke. So we already saw the other test run, and I've got to get these imported. Okay, so I'm going to change the build.gradle file, and I'll change these build.gradle file quite a bit, so just so you get used to that idea. So let me open that as a text file since I didn't install that update, and it seems to have an issue with that. I usually edit them manually anyway. I don't need wizards. Okay, so in iOS I'm going to just put smoke, and that is going to include tags, tag smoke. Now you could do include smoke, include iOS, and if you did that, it would run the smoke test once and the iOS test, which includes both of them, again. So you would have 3 tests run, and the smoke test would run twice. You know, you got to figure this out, what works for you, but that wouldn't be very. I don't think anybody intends to do something like that, but that's what would happen. So, okay, let's go back here, and just going to run the same command, but it's going to behave differently this time because I updated the build Gradle and changed the tag to smoke. So it's only going to run the smoke test this time. And when I have Eclipse opened up to the whole screen, you can't see the app, so we'll scrunch that up a little bit. Sorry for the size of my monitor. Maybe it works well for you, maybe it doesn't. Okay, I was checking to see if it could click on the cancel button, and apparently it cannot. So I couldn't see it in Appium Desktop, so that should have been my first clue. So I guess things that you can't see, Appium can't see it either. So no such element exception. So the cancel button does not exist. So that must run as a separate application inside of your application. Now you know. So I'm not going to be able to test that unless I get really clever. And I'm not that clever yet. So let's cancel that. And now I'm going to change it to click on the continue button. So let's make a little change. So when we create a new project, we can't cancel and we can't search. So I'm just going to comment these out because, hey, if I figure out a way along the way to do that, I will. Okay, app.click. Sometimes you know more at the end of the day than you knew when you started. Okay. So in that situation, I'm just going to click on the continue button. I'm not going to really be able to test the unlimited projects and the share all projects or the backup all projects or the no advertising either, because they're all behave this, as well as the button right at the top of the screen, which is Purchase Status Report Pro. Can't test that either unless there's a way, which I don't know yet. So let's do what we can and test what we can, and sometimes things have to be tested manually. So I'm going to hit continue here. the app's going to relaunch anyway, so I'm going to run the test again. This time, it's going to try to add a project, and then it's going to continue. And then it's going to try to add another project, and then it's going to continue. It's going to do that. Well, maybe about a few times, maybe 12. Now, a lot of times in these methods, I'll put a little log line at the top, and then you can trace them along in the console and watch them execute. More so in Maven than in Gradle. If you have a POM file and you execute a test in Maven, it tends to be more verbose. So that's a reason I often put both a Gradle file and a Maven file in the project. Also, the Maven gives you a chance to execute it right there in Eclipse without going to a command line and typing a command, so you can like control click on a project and then execute it as a Maven build or Maven test or that kind of thing. If you have a Maven, I just like to have both. I don't have it here yet, but we'll get things going here and then work on this. So this is kind of working on that continue button. So that was successful. Test that button quite a bit. That might get annoying. May want to just pare it down a little bit for this test. 4 is sufficient to test that for now, so let's just comment these out for now. Actually, what I'll do is I'll just put an if block around them and say if bundle ID dot equals dr dot progress report pro. And that'll keep those from executing. So they'll only work on the pro version. So let's do a control click source format. That just cleans up the indentation there. Okay, so what's our next thing we want to automate? So create a new status report. So in order to do that, we first have to select first project. So we'll jump over to, okay, so now what we're going to do is click on the first project, and let's see if this has a project cell. Okay, project cell. Let's click on the second one. Project cell. All right. Project cell. Kind of makes me curious. If you click on project cell, which one does it click on? Well, you do that. It's going to work the enhancements. Yeah. That opened enhancements, which you expected because the cursor was actually on it. But if you do it programmatically, what's going to happen? Well, let's just program it and see what happens. And I wonder if there's a way to disambiguate between the multiple projects. But we'll work this out. Click. And we'll put in project cell. Now open up maybe the first one. Then we'll create a status report. I'm kind of guessing it's going to be click add, but let's go check it out. This button here. That'll be part of the toolbar. Oh, down here. Add, settings, search, share. Okay. Interesting. So, we should test all these things, but okay, let's click on an add. It's what we thought it was going to be. And then we're going to enter the text name of the so we'll click on it, add, tap, bet you dollars for donuts. This doesn't have an accessibility ID, and it doesn't. Okay, so I'm going to go back to XCode, and now I see a first defect here. That looks bad on the device. Okay. Got to make a note of that. I'm just gonna status report new format purchase button. Off screen. Okay. So we're going to open that defect up in my app, but I'm going to jump over and we got to add an accessibility ID, and I'm going to call this, well, I'll figure out what I'm going to call it when I get into XCode. So let's go into XCode. And I include this even though it's about testing because, well, you're a tester. I'm also a developer. So professionally and when I do testing, I also update the apps, and I update projects and websites and stuff. When I have a defect, sometimes I go fix it. Sometimes I just add things to make my tests go easier. For Selenium tests, I add IDs to a lot of things. So these are definitely things that you have to do if you're doing testing. Now, so this field here, if you click on this over here, it tells you that its name is status to add. That's the name associated with it in programmatically. So I'm going to make the accessibility status to add. So the accessibility ID, and you'll either do this yourself or you'll have your developer do it. It's down here on the tab here, which is the Show Identification Inspector. And it was status to add. So we'll just put status to add. I think I got 2 Ds. And you always have to tab out of the field in order for, oh, God bless, XCode. All right, so status to add with 2 Ds. Okay. Well, this seems to be a recurring field that theme that every single text field has to be named. So we're going to come up with another one here in a moment, but we have this defect here, and I'm going to try to fix that as well while I'm here. So let's do a, I'm not going to reset the constraints, but I am going to add a constraint on that to make it taller. height 344. That should be sufficient. Add constraint. Okay. So that should make that window tall enough to accommodate this button and not chop it off. So, hey, I'm rebuilding the project. I might as well fix stuff. And then these dialogues up here all have these title view. No, it is called question text field, status bar, question number label, answer text field, so we have the question text field named question text field. I bet you that doesn't have an accessibility ID, so let's add that. Notice how it didn't save it because I didn't tab out of the field. Okay, I tabbed out of the field. Now we'll go over here and back. Whoops. And it did save it. Okay. Then you have to do a Command S to save everything. And so that's the question text field. This is the answer text field. So let's verify the name. Answer text field. Let's add an accessibility ID on that. Oh, wait a minute. We're doing labels. And we're not putting them in the identifier fields. Well, it worked before. The label got picked up. Should really be in the identifier field, though. I should do it the right way. Okay. And then those are the two fields we have to type into. This is going to be the question text field. So again, the accessibility IDs on this identification tab. Identity inspector. The Command A. I'm going to tab out of that field too, make sure it saves. XCode is very particular about how it works. That should take care of that dialog, but I have two more down here, so let's do those. Just for emphasis and repetitiveness. This is going to be the answer text field. And then this one, no, so sorry, question text field. Let's extract that. This one's going to be the answer text field. And just for simplicity, I'm going to go down here. I'm going to do the answer first. Oops. And I'll do the question. It doesn't format right. It ends up okay on the UI, but kill two birds with one stone. Okay, so now we've got this one. This was called status to add. And this one was called project to edit, I believe. Project name edit. So I want to be consistent. I want to be consistent with namings because project to edit, I think it was to edit. No, project name edit. Even if it's a bad name. Well, just be consistent. And I'm going to go back up to these segues and redo this one. Oh, I did put it in the right field. Okay. I was smarter yesterday. All right. And then, let's see what I did here. Nope, I put that one in the wrong. I wasn't as smart today. Okay. I wonder if the label being populated is going to have some ill effect or awkward behavior. Hey, that's why we test, right? Okay, so now we've got the status to add. What I'm going to do is build that out to the device. And while that's building out to the device, I'm going to jump over to Eclipse and update our program. So we're entering a status field. So that was enter text. And we did that once before. So what we want to enter is into that field, status to add. We did that for project to add, but I don't know if I extracted out a domain-specific language to enter text. And if I didn't, I should. So let's do that. So in create new project, do continue. Oh yeah, project name edit. Love this feature. All right, and then send keys. So it's kind of like this code. That could be a function. That could be a method. So what could that method be called? Let's extract this out to a variable. Yeah, sure. And then we're going to extract this out. Well, okay. It's already extracted out. So what we'll do is extract this to a method. And we're going to call this one. It's going to take two parameters. Now, I don't like the order of operations or the order of the parameters because I think you should specify the field that you're entering it into first. So you move that up. And then you should enter the text that you're entering. And I'm going to call that, for lack of creativity, send keys. No, no, that's too overloaded. So let's do enter text. That'll be fine. So we create that method. Hope I made it public, but I probably didn't. Yeah, I did. Okay. All right. So this is going to take two arguments, and it's going to enter text, and it's going to take the accessibility ID and then the text. So we're going to reuse this, but before we reuse it, we have to move it from org to app, because I want it to be app.enterText. So refactor, move, and let's move it from app. Oh wait, no, move it to app. Click OK. Okay, now it's there. We could document these things. I like documenting everything. So this was going to, well, it's kind of redundant, but verify settings upsell message. And then we got creates a new project. And then share app from settings table view. Share app from settings table view. Yeah. And this is called Javadoc, and it's really simple to do. And what you do is you just hit enter /**. It's 2 stars, not 1 star. Normally you just do 1 star, and that's just a regular comment. But if you do 2 stars and then you hit enter, just above the method name, it creates this format for Javadoc. And this pulls out documentation like you see on the web for all your Java methods. The Javadoc also shows up when you're using your domain-specific language. And it gives all the users of your domain-specific languages clues about how to use the methods. So try to make the descriptions useful. Get the bundle ID for the app being tested. Okay. And then that one's got Javadoc. Okay, so I think we got Javadoc all through this one. Good. And then now let's go back here, and we were going to use that new method we just created, which was enter text. So we click to add, new status, and then status to add, we're going to do app.enterText, and we're going to put in the accessibility ID, which was status to add. That's why we saved it as a comment. And then we're going to create a new status, and it's going to be called test cases. All right. And then we're going to click on the save button. So that's going to be the done button. Yeah. So we're going to do app save status. So it's going to be app.click on done. Now, this, we created a domain-specific reusable method here called enter text because that's reusable on other projects. But this method's specific to our app, so this is domain-specific. So what we're going to do is add this to org. So let's control, click, refactor, extract method, and this is going to be add status report. And it's going to be public, static, and it's going to take one parameter, which is the name of the status, which I didn't include. So let's click on it. And now we could have extracted out the variable for test cases. We didn't. So let's do this. We can do it manually. Let's see if I can do it creatively. Yes, you could do it creatively using Eclipse. So we could just copy and paste and Java edit it, but you can do right control click, refactor, method signature, update the method signature, and you can add a parameter. The name of the parameter would be of type string, and it would be called status report name. Okay. So now we're getting a variable called status report name. So now I can delete this, actually cut it, type in status report name here, and now I'll have an error back in my test that I'll have to correct. Oh, I'm still in my test. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so it refactored it. I just have to paste in the name of the status report that I'm adding, called test cases. Good. Now, so we created a bunch of projects, and then we clicked on the first project. That shouldn't have been in here, so we can pull that out. That wasn't supposed to be in there, so let's pull that out, and we'll put that back here in the main method. Okay, that makes a little more sense. Click on the first project, then you add a status report. Got to keep these things reusable. Okay, then create a new question. So, well, before you create a new question, you have to select first status report, or select a status report. Now what I'd like to do is I can't control it here. I can go over here, Appium Desktop, and then I can enter text in this field. Failed. Okay, refresh. Can't connect because I recompiled the app. Yeah. Did that update today? June 12th. It's June 16th. No, it didn't update. Did not compile successfully. It may have been a problem that XCode couldn't launch because the app was still running. Huh. Bizarre. Let's quit it in Appium Desktop. And then I'll jump over to XCode, stop it. I'm going to kill it manually. Seems to be in a weird state. Haven't tried all these things before, so maybe learning new things as well. Okay, let's check our settings tab. June 12th. Progress report. It's building. It's installing, but it's not updating the date. Maybe I'll kill Appium desktop completely. And then do the build. Still saying June 12th. Okay. Let me do a project clean. That'll wipe out all the compiled source. And I'm going to do a project run. Okay, now it has the latest date. So that's updated. Now, I did update Progress Report Pro also, so I'm going to rebuild that one while I'm doing this.